Marine invertebrates around the world.
Hi everybody! Welcome to Wild Animal Wednesday. We are super excited to start our last section of our Wild Animals Around the World series of invertebrates.
And we're not just learning about any kinds of invertebrates, we're specifically learning about marine invertebrates.
Yes, and we're really excited about that too because we have had a lot of first-hand experience with marine invertebrates this past year. So we thought, what better place to start this series on marine invertebrates than here at the beach, right at the source of them. We're actually going to start our series on different mollusks. Today we're going to focus on the bivalve mollusks. So how about we go shelling? Does that sound good?
Yes!
Let's go look for some bivalves.
Hi! So here we are on the shores of Florida, and I'm going to show you examples of bivalves. So, here is a turkey wing, one of Florida's most common bivalves. This is a surfed clam. So here we have our third bivalve, which is a blood arc. Why they're called a blood arc is because they are the only bivalve with red blood. Here's another blood arc, but it has a lot of gray on it. Most blood arcs are white. So this is called a ponderous arc. You can tell it from the blood arc very well because of its black mossy coating on the edge. Here's a great example of a bivalve living off of another bivalve.
So many bivalves will neither burrow nor bore into the sediment, but they actually permanently attach themselves to something by secreting thin fibers called byssal threads from the foot to a solid object like this other bivalve.
The base scallop can be any color, but just a solid color. It lives in our base, but their shells wash up on our beaches. This is called a calico scallop, same size and shape as the base scallop. They can be many colors, but the most common color is pink and white. And this is called a calico clam.
So bivalve means two halves or two shells. Like you can see in this pen shell we found here, it has both of its shells together. Hence the name bivalve. They're connected by a ligament in between. This southern quahog was a really cool find as it was still attached to each other. Now that hinge is very important. It is a crucial part of the anatomical structure of the bivalve shell as it's what holds the bivalve together. This hinged ligament made of elastic protein is what joins the two halves of the shell together, but there's a large abductor muscle between the two valves that will hold them closed.
Look at all these bivalves.
Oh yeah, there's my favorite, the calico scallop.
And look, a ponderous arc.
Oh yeah, look, there's a lot of the different arcs, aren't there?
Yeah.
Oh, and the crossbarred Venus. Those are a very common shell.
And the white slipper snail.
Oh, fun! Oh, and a kitten paw. Look at the kitten paw. Oh, it's so cute. No, not a kitten, Polly. A kitten paw. And look at, there are so many arcs, aren't there?
Yeah, and look at that crossbarred Venus.
I know, those
and
are
a true tulip.
Oh, wow, nice.
So this is another turkey wing, but it has coral growing on it. As for this coral is dead.
Also, do you see that big hole on the turkey wing? That was made by a gastropod that wanted to devour that turkey wing.
shelling, we had to wash all of those bivalves. And as you can see, we have a ton.
But our shelling wasn't quite over yet. We decided to head over to Sanibel Island, the shelling capital of the world, to look for beautiful seashells on the beach. We found a lot of live creatures here at Sanibel, and this was a really cool experience. You can see here on this scallop, you can actually see their little eyes all across the mantle. Time for you to go back home, little buddy.
When you see an alive creature on the beach, you throw it back in the water.
Happy sailing, little scallop.
And here we have another cool find. Not only can you see the eyes on the outside of the mantle there, you can also see a lot of the insides. So that little black thing in the back, that's the stomach. The white part is the adductor, which is the muscle that holds the shell open and closed. And that orange part is quite interesting. That's the ovaries on a female scallop. The males actually have a white gonad. Time for this little girl to get back to her ocean home. This was another cool experience. We got to watch the scallop open and close. Now you can see all those eyes again across that mantle. And if you peek inside, look, there's orange. So can you remember? Does that mean, is this a female or a male scallop? Well, if you said female, you're correct. And I'm not sure about that other one over there. Maybe that one's a male. The other thing we thought was kind of cool was that the two shells were different colors. We thought the two different scallop shells would look exactly the same. Well, in fact, most scallops we found had two different shells. 2 more live scallops. See ya later.
So why a heart cockle is called a heart cockle is because when they're together, they're shaped like a heart.
Oh, that's perfect. I love it. Here we have a trilogy. There's a slipper snail on another slipper snail on a ponderous arc. Little triple threat ready to go back to the ocean. Ready, guys? So here we found a dead scallop, but live barnacles. Back to the water for you guys. Here he goes.
A horse conch will eat a pen shell and then lay its eggs on the empty shell. These Atlantic coquinas are found in a whole rainbow of colors just below the sand surface at the surf line. These coquinas better watch out before a common tern snacks on them.
Thanks for shelling with us, everybody. Now let's head back home to draw these beautiful shells. Bye for now.
And just like that, we're back in Michigan.
But I will say it's a little colder here in Michigan. Think we should put our sweaters on?
Agree to agree.
That's much better, isn't it?
Yep.
We had so much fun shelling with you and learning a little bit about bivalves while we were in Florida. But we didn't feel like we really gave you a good introduction to our marine invertebrates. Through our Wild Animals Around the World series, we did a series on mammals, birds, fish, amphibians, and reptiles. And there's just one little section for invertebrates. Although invertebrates actually make up more than 90% of the animal kingdom. There are more than 1.3 million species of invertebrates. So that's a lot to choose from, isn't it?
Yep.
Well, we decided to focus on marine invertebrates. We're going to begin our marine invertebrates series talking about mollusks.
But what is a mollusk? Well, all mollusks have a soft body that must stay moist, and a mantle that sometimes grows a shell, and they're all cold-blooded.
and we're going to divide those into 3 different groupings. First being the bivalves, next being gastropods, and last being cephalopods. Today we're focusing on bivalves. And why are they called bivalves?
Because it's 2 shells going together.
That's right. So there's 2 different parts, 2 different shells, and they're connected with a hinge. Can you tell us what's the name of this bivalve?
It's called the giant heart cockle. And why it's called that is because when you see it this way, it doesn't look anything like a heart. But when it's connected and you turn it this way, it's shaped like a heart.
Isn't that sweet? I love that one. I thought that was so cool, the heart cockle.
Bivalves don't even have any heads.
They don't have a head, but they do have a body part called a foot. Those 2 tube-like structures at the top of those bivalves are called siphons. Those siphons are used to reach up to the surface of the sediment so that the animal is able to breathe, feed, excrete, and even reproduce. At the bottom, that little piece that looks like a tongue sticking out is actually the bivalve's foot. A bivalve uses its foot to drag itself around or to anchor itself in the sand. Bivalves have really strong muscles that close their shells tight when they sense danger, so they use it as protection. There is one particular bivalve that will actually use that shell clapping together to swim in the water. Do you remember which one that was?
That is the scallops.
The scallops, which are one of my favorites. They are tasty to eat, and they're beautiful shells. They're one I like to collect.
Which we can show you a couple of them. So there's 2 kinds of very common scallops here in Florida. The first one is the bay scallop, which tends to be gray or white. They're always solid colors. They can also be a peach color.
Ooh, that is pretty.
And the second most common scallop is the calico scallop. And they mostly have this pink calico color, but they can also have a different twist to them. Anything that has 3 colors, like this one or this one.
Very cool. I know they are so beautiful. I love the calico scallops. They do tend to be pink, but we even see like yellow and some really bright orange and coral color.
So, what do bivalves eat?
Well, bivalves are filter feeders. The bivalves live by filter feeding, straining the water to remove particles of food. The particles bivalves eat include plankton, which are the tiny floating animals and algae, as well as dead organic matter. Well, they do this with those gills. Those gills will come out while they're in the water. And the bivalve gills, which are large and feather-like, they're contained inside the animal's body. And the water that passes over them is sucked in through a flexible tube called a siphon. And then it's squirted out through a second siphon, making a constant flow. They will also get oxygen from those gills. So those gills help them get a constant flow of oxygen and food to their bodies to help them live. But what eats the bivalves?
The predators are birds, fish, crabs, and other mollusks.
Well, what's the biggest bivalve?
The biggest bivalves is the giant clam, measuring up to 4 feet wide,
Huge.
weighing up to over 500 pounds.
Wow. That's giant, isn't it? So it really is a giant clam. I mean, you could sleep in one, couldn't you?
Yeah,
They're
it's the size of
so
this
big.
table.
Yeah, that's giant. Now, they can be very big, but bivalves can also be very small.
The smallest bivalve is the little tiny seed shell, which is measuring up to 2 millimeters. That's like this small.
Like super duper tiny. So I thought that was pretty neat, the range of small to big in the bivalve world, right?
Right.
Well, we are going to draw a beautiful collection of these bivalves. But before we draw, we're actually going to show you on our papers our favorite bivalves. Are you ready?
Yes, you go first.
Okay, so my two favorite bivalves are actually some of the most common bivalves, but I just think they're just adorable. So as you can see, I collected a lot of these cute little kitten paws. I thought it'd be fun to put them in a vase or a little glass jar so you can see all of them at one time. But I just think they are so cute, and sometimes you'll find them actually fused together. So you do always want to make sure that the creature is not alive. So there was one that looked like it was fused together, but when you kind of looked a little bit closer and kind of put your finger on it, you could see that it actually there was still a live creature in there. So those you want to make sure you put back in the water. But there's quite a few that are just fused together, or I have some even that are open. Yeah, I have the one that's open over here. Isn't that cool? So the kitten paw, that's one of my favorites. Another one of my favorites is another really common one, and that is the calico scallops. They're all over the place, all over the Gulf beaches, but I just think they're so pretty and I love their range of color. What are your two favorite bivalves?
Well, I don't have two favorites. I have a lot of favorites. So, my first favorite is this spiny jewel box. And normally you don't find them with all their spikes on them. Normally they're pretty broken off. But this was a lucky find to have all of them still on.
That is really cool.
And another one of my favorites is this rayed oyster. This one you actually can't find in the Gulf of Mexico. It's only in the Atlantic Ocean. And my two other favorites that are in the same family is the buttercup lucine.
I love that color. So pretty.
And the tiger lucine.
That was a lucky find, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We've only found one of those.
Another one of my favorites is the white heart cockle, which is more of a rare one to find.
Really. And we love anything that's a heart shape in nature, don't we?
Yeah.
That's one of our special things we look for.
This is called a lion's paw, and this is a very smaller one, but this is giant.
Whoa, that is so cool, isn't it?
Yep. The inside has a pretty white color. And my last but not least favorite is the Atlantic thorny oyster. This one we found in the Keys, but it doesn't have its spikes still on it. All these little holes that you see are where a spike came out. And as you can see, the inside is really pretty white. You can always tell it's an Atlantic thorny oyster is if it has this markings where the hinge was.
We'd like to know what are some of your favorite bivalves too. You can tell us that in the comments below. But I think we're ready to draw some bivalves. Are you ready?
Yeah!
Yeah. So we got to clean up the table a little bit and get it ready, and we will meet you down here for some drawing.
But first, we want to show you some hinged
Oh, that's a good one.
bivalves.
Yeah. We do have some nice hinged ones.
We have several pretty hinged ones, but this is one that I really like. This is called a channeled duck clam. And as you can see, it has its little hinge right here.
Nice.
And you can always tell it's a duck clam when it has the small little ridges right here.
Very nice.
And our last
Oh, that's right.
one
Our pen. Oh, yeah. We can't forget these guys.
is the pen shell. And this is really cool because they're still hinged, and you normally don't find them when they're hinged.
That's right. And in fact, you normally don't even find a whole pen shell. A lot of times they're broken up. So it was really cool that we found a couple different hinged all together pen shells. So the other cool thing about the pen shell is they have a lot of other life on them. They'll have a lot of barnacles, they'll have limpets, they'll have the slipper snails. So it's really cool that not only is it a creature itself, but it actually provides a home for a lot of other creatures. So now I think we are officially ready to draw. And I'm really excited because I just think seashells are so pretty and they're fun to draw. All right, let's get ready.
So my bivalve choices are the sunray Venus here, which actually used to be eaten quite often, but not so much anymore. I also have this beautiful angel wing. We have two different kinds of scallops here, the bay scallop above and the calico scallop to the right. Now the bay scallop, that's the popular one for eating in the restaurants. Here we have a very small lion's paw and the kitten paws, of course, a turkey wing, which those are fun with a fun design. Here are a couple coquinas, one of the smaller of the bivalves. In the corner here we have the southern surf clam. This is one that's used to make clam chowder.
So here we have a lion's paw. It's the largest and most highly prized of scallops. Thrives in deep water, but rarely found on the beach. And here we have a rose petal telin, similar to the coquina in shape, but much larger and less common.
So Alexis decided a fun way to draw hers would be to trace them. Nice! So the shells are fairly easy to draw because they're just simple shapes. We'll see more of the detail when we color them. I'm actually going to trace some of them and draw some of them. So my sunray Venus I thought would look really nice up in the corner here. Looks like it's a little sun in the corner. Alright, I think we're ready to color now.
Let's color!
Thanks for drawing with us, everybody!
Now we used a variety of books on mollusks, but the ones that focus mostly on bivalves are mollusks and similar sea creatures, and this is in the World Book series.
And another one we used was Let's Find Out, Marine Life. What are mollusks? By Sarah Massajuski.
And we also use Animal Kingdom Classification, Snails, Shellfish, and Other Mollusks by Daniel Gilman. We'll also have a list in the description to tell you all the books we use to study mollusks, and also a few of the shell guides that we recommend.
Well, thanks for learning with us. Bye!
I'm gonna see if we can get it.
And as an example for bivalves is a shell that can be connected.
Good.
Here we have an angel wing. Again, when you find the angel wing, when there's the mollusk inside, you'll have the two valves connected. This one's perfectly white, which is how you see a lot of them. But I really like this one. It also has the gray coloring to it. I thought that was really pretty. And that's also an angel wing. One of my favorites is actually the calico scallops. I love these pink calico scallops. They're so pretty. Another one you'll see a lot of, especially here in Florida on the Gulf Coast, are the crossbarred Venus clams. You'll see them all over the place. Now this one's a little more dull, but many of them will have purple on the inside, which is really pretty. And I found another one of my favorites. I love these little kitten paws. They're so cute.
Okay, now we'll put our sweaters on. Okay, now look at each other, smile, and snap. Ready? Go.
And just like that, we're back in Michigan.
And then we snap together. And then we'll put our sweaters on.
Thanks for drawing with us. us, everybody.
Oh, I said what you said. Are we saying everyone or everybody?
I don't care.
Everybody.
The books we use are not they'll have slipper snaps.
So
Now are we ready to draw or is there some more?